All right, welcome back, everybody, to another episode of the Do Our Things podcast. I'm Jay Teagues, and I have in studio with me the lovely Angie Petran. How you doing, Angie?
I'm doing great. How are you doing?
Doing great for a Monday. Been up since like 2:30, so we're. I feel wide
Mm,
awake this morning. I never know where I'm going to get these morning. These I don't sleep well on Sunday nights,
yeah.
and so I never know. Sometimes I have a sleepy morning, and sometimes I have like a really early. So I got up this morning, did some writing, did some yoga. I'm ready to go.
I am you this morning. You're normal this morning. I am dead tired and dragging ass, and I'm just happy to be here.
It seems like it's like one of us is like wide awake and perky, and the other one's just like dragging along. So
Yeah.
here we are.
Yes.
So today we're going to talk about training or straining. Avoid overtraining syndrome. There's a lot of runners out there that deal with overtraining. I'm actually dealing with a little bit of it myself. I know that Lacey is. We've been training for our marathon. We got the big expedition coming up. It's a
Mhm.
topic that a lot of runners struggle with. So we want to kind of dive deep into the topic of overtraining, maybe some signs and symptoms so you can avoid it. Like, why does it happen to us? What are the different stages of it?
Mhm.
Because at the end of the day, we want to make sure that we are we're able to continuously train and avoid overtraining, overdoing it, so we can crush our that next race. But before we get into today's episode, just a few housekeeping notes. Make sure you smash that subscribe button so you're notified of future episodes. We're on all your different platforms: Spotify, Apple, Pocket Casts. We stream on all your social media platforms too. So we're on YouTube, TikTok, Facebook. And leave us a review, whatever your favorite platform is. Please leave us a review. They matter. They go a long way. It's getting pretty competitive out there in the podcast space. I think we're doing something pretty cool here, and all of those reviews really matter. So if you've gained any, that's if you want to show some appreciation for the show and what we do here, we don't charge anything. It would mean a lot to us to leave us a review. So thank you so much for doing that. And share it with a couple of your friends. If something here, resonated, share it with a friend. And we would love to hear back, feedback. We get feedback all the time on like different topics, or, hey, that nugget was really helpful to me. We love to hear the takeaways. And if there's anything that you'd like to hear, let us know. And we're also looking for nominations. If you know someone out there that's kicking ass and crushing it, every week on the Monday show, we always hand out a shirt to someone that's kicking ass and being a role model or doing something difficult that is noteworthy. And we want to hear from you. So obviously, someone out there that is doing some amazing things. Reach out to us directly. Let us know who it is. Just a little blurb of who, why, and they could be the next weekly winner. Let's see here. So this episode is sponsored by Do Our Things Nation. This is our community of fun people who do unfun things. We're talking about this morning. We're remarkably fun people that do unfun things like punish ourselves through endurance sports. So
Yes.
if you want to be around a group of like-minded people who are fun, that do unfun things, join us, doourthingsnation.com. We're united on focus and continuous self-improvement. Mindset and movement is the name of the game. That's we focus on upgrading our life through mindset and movement. And we got monthly challenges. We're kicking off the DHT Level 1 challenge today. We'll have some virtual events. We've got just a great space to find some motivation. And it's a great place to network. And if you're looking to level up your running, your mindset, become a DHT Pro member. And you can get your customized running plan, high performance mindset coaching, and whatnot. So, and you can also get yourself some sweet gear. If you want a hat, shirt, something motivational, go to the pro shop. So that's it. That's it for the business end of things. So this morning, let's talk about overtraining. Are you training or straining?
Ugh.
So the challenge with many novice runners and endurance athletes is they often try to achieve too much too quick. Our mind is striving for perfection, and it's difficult to synchronize the mind and the body together. And that's the harmonious relationship we're trying to achieve is our mind and our body. And oftentimes our mind will push harder than our body is capable, and that can lead us to overtraining. Angie, when was the time? Describe a time that you felt overtrained and what led to that, and what did it feel like for you?
Ooh, I overtrained for my first Ragnar. I ended up with shin splints.
Mm, hurt.
And oh yeah. I went to the doctor, and I didn't even I went because I had knee pain, and they did some x-rays, and they came back with wasn't even expecting shin splints. And I was just adding to my mileage, too much mileage too quickly.
Yeah.
But I was so excited, that I think that's for me, that's what always leads to overtraining is because I'm excited for the event that I'm training for, and I just want to do my best. And I just didn't train properly.
Yeah, and shin splints are just little micro fractures or
Hmm.
splintering of your. Let unchecked, it can lead to a complete fracture, and
Yeah.
they are painful. I've dealt with that earlier on in my life, and they're horrible.
Hmm.
And yeah, too much, too quick. And the only way that you can really mitigate those is to back off, which is frustrating.
Yes. Yes.
Frustrating to do all the work and then have to find yourself backing off.
Yeah. Absolutely. What about you?
Oh man, a couple things come to mind. I think I've had chronic overtraining where I was completely overtrained. When I went to sapper school in the military, that was a big train up in a 28-day course that just led me completely exhausted and it took me like 6 months to or recover from that one.
Mm.
And then when I did the Missouri River 340, both times were pretty brutal, but the first time that I did it solo, did not train properly. I didn't know really how to train for it. The Missouri River 340 is 340 miles across the state of Missouri.
Hmm.
And you have 88 hours to get from point A to point B. It took me 78. It took me probably 4 months to recover from that one.
Ooh.
And it was like, I would go out on just a simple run and I couldn't even keep pace. Like I was in the Army at the time, and I'm a pretty fast runner, but I couldn't even, I could barely keep pace with what the minimum required of the ACFT. I was just so exhausted, so depleted, and the muscle atrophy and the whole gamut. And from that, it just takes a while to recover. So just an extreme event. But I've overreached, if you will. Overreach is another term for it's overtraining, but not to the complete point of complete depletion. And that's, prolonged muscle soreness and things like that. I've done that quite a few times. I've suffered with like shin splints and training for like marathons and things like that. And it's not fun.
The whole month of February, I pretty much have been sore.
Yes. So February has become an annual tradition of overtraining.
Yes. We know we're going to do it.
Going from 0 to Taji 100. And so that's why this month's challenge, we've really, really scaled it back this month. And that's why we want to talk about this topic, because you might, from the very first of the year, come out the gate strong. You might feel yourself feeling a little overtrained at the moment. So I know I'm certainly feeling it. So we want to talk about that today.
Yeah.
I think overtraining is incredibly frustrating, and it's the most common of running ailments that set runners back.
Yeah.
And, coaching runners and coaching soldiers in the military, it was a constant battle of trying to scale people back and not overdo it too quickly. And, spent a lot of time, talking and comforting runners whose greed and training, you're trying to, log in all those miles. You get greedy with all the training, reaping all those rewards of the dopamine hit of I accomplished this. And that reduces you to like being the walking wounded, where you're just struggling to just get through the day and
walking
hobbling
wounded.
around the house. So
The walking
that's a constant a battle, right? So some of the signs that you're overtrained, just general fatigue, just general being tired, and that fatigue can affect your mood.
Yeah.
And your mood is often one of the first indicators. Your friends and family around you will probably often notice you're overtraining before you do, which is it's a real challenge. But the first thing is fatigue, and it directly affects your mood. So if you're finding yourself more irritable, more cranky, tired, like you're getting up out of bed in the morning and you're just a little bit more tired, or you're having a hard time going to sleep. And the weird thing is about fatigue is that it leads to, like, although you're tired, you can't sleep very well. So it just kind of exacerbates the fatigue. That's sign number one. Recurrent headaches is pretty common. Having a lot of headaches, diarrhea. No, people won't talk about that, but you have some gastrointestinal issues. Diarrhea is a sign. You might have some weight loss. You might notice a difference in your libido. So you might have less desire for sexual intercourse, loss of appetite or food. So all of those are pretty common indicators that you might be overtraining. You might have a hard time like just relaxing, which is weird when you're, like I said, when you're fatigued, like you have a hard time relaxing, you have restlessness, you might have swelling of your lymph nodes. You might notice like your allergies are getting worse than normal, especially like you're here in the Midwest. We're about to uh, go into spring. I noticed that the other day. I can tell when I have certain allergies, and I'm feeling a little overtrained. And I'm like, man, I kind of noticed picking up some allergies already, and I'm like, that's kind of odd because it was just an indicator to me, like it was
Mhm.
another sign that popped up. You might be susceptible to cold and flu and other respiratory infections more than normal when you're overtrained because your body's just so depleted.
Yeah.
Um, so, and really, what you've done, if you've stretched your body beyond your breaking point, and you're straining your immune system. I had something interesting happen last week. It's happened before, but I did that Rogaine, that orienteering event. So we were 8 hours, ultimately finished like Larry said, we got 25 miles total in. I think during the event it was like 23. But when I got home, I got the chills,
Mhm.
and your body can go into like a flu-like state when you're completely depleted. And I wasn't like it just kind of hit me all of a sudden, and I had to go get some blankets and get a coat, put it on, put my beanie on, and I was like freezing, and I was just eating and just trying to replenish my fluids. But yeah, if you have things like that pop up, that could be a sign that you're overtrained. It went away after about like 90 minutes, but it was like miserable for a little bit.
Oh, yeah.
You ever had that happen to you?
Yes, actually, I have. Now that you bring that up, I'm like, "Oh, wow, I've that's happened to me before." I
Yeah.
didn't even put 2 and 2 together, but yeah. Mhm,
And it's not like the bone chill of being out in the cold. It's like legitimate chills, like you'd have like
mhm,
a flu-like symptom. It's really weird, but yeah,
yep,
your body's a weird thing. So, and so overtraining, there's a term for this called overtraining syndrome. It's legit. So overtraining syndrome, this occurs when an athlete doesn't adequately recover after repetitive intense training, which can include fatigue, declining performance, and potential injury. There's two classifications when it comes to this. It's called overreaching and overtraining. So overreaching is muscle soreness above and beyond what you typically experience. So you might do like a hard workout or maybe a race, and you might have a couple consecutive days of like muscle soreness. So like
mhm,
Saturday I ran 23 miles, and I was feeling pretty beat up yesterday. I'm a little sore this morning, but so I overreached on Saturday. Feeling a little run down, feeling a little tired. But with a little rest, I should be bouncing back, say like tomorrow and the day after, I should be kind of back to normal. Overtraining occurs when an athlete ignores the sign of overreaching, continues to train, and then and the pitfall is that athlete will believe that the poor performance, which is really overreaching, signals that they need to even train even harder, so they don't let up on the training, and
mhm.
that leads you into that state of being completely overtrained, and that only breaks the body down further. Um, and there are what's it called? It's called the Valley of Fatigue. There's a chart that I'll see if I can post. I'll put it on the blog or something like that. Um, there's a gentleman by the name of Councilman who put together fatigue zones, and there are like 3 fatigue zones that you can get yourself into. There's adaptation, which is pretty normal. This is where you might start your workout series on a say you got a training week from Monday through Sunday. You start Monday through Friday. You're working out pretty hard. By the end of Friday, you're pretty tired. You take Saturday and Sunday to recover, and you bounce right back. And then Monday, you're back in it. That's the adaptation zone. That's zone A. Zone B is where you're pushing a little bit harder. And this is called the failing zone, the Valley of Fatigue. You're going to notice this is where you tend to overreach, and you're going to feel that complete soreness. But if you overreach just like a little bit too far, it could take you longer to recover.
Mhm,
The failing adaptation zone is zone C. This is where people push themselves so hard. For example, they go through the weekend and try to recover, and they don't bounce back, and they push hard again the following week, and they only make that valley of fatigue even deeper. And it gets to a point where it breaks them. And so the only way to really combat this is to really understand these zones. And then the best way is to keep like a training log, So when you
Yeah.
do an exercise that is still like a routine that you've done before, you can measure and see kind of where you're at. And if you're noticing the signs of fatigue, or you feel that you should be bouncing back, but you're not, well, then you're probably in a fatigue zone or the valley of fatigue. And so that's a challenge for people for sure. And I know that I have done that. So,
Yeah, for sure. I use a Garmin watch. I don't remember what model I have. But after every activity, it asks me how I feel,
mhm.
and even it get from green to red, and then with smiley faces and not smiley faces. So that helps track. Helps me subconsciously track. It's what I don't even have to think about it. Thankfully, it's built right in.
Yeah, so those smartwatches are fantastic because does it track your sleep as well?
Hmm.
Yeah, so it can track your sleep. I know I had one of those. What do they call it? Oh, it's one of those
Whoop
brands.
strap.
The Whoop Strap. I had the Whoop Strap for a little bit, and I loved it. I used it for about 3 months, and eventually I took it off because I loved it because it would give me great feedback on my sleep. But I noticed if I had like a red, you'd wake up and it'd be like red, yellow, or green. Green days were great. I felt great, but I would feel like I got a decent night's sleep and to be a red day. And I'm like, and I would just psychologically, it would just like throw me off the rest of the day. Like, well, I guess I'm obviously tired. I can't do anything today. And so
Mhm.
I'm like, I got to take this thing off. But I really got in tune with my sleeping patterns. It really made me aware of how like alcohol really affected my body and my sleep.
No.
Um, so all those metrics are great. And what I learned is that, you do need more time than you realize to recover properly. And, you should probably only work out yourself to exhaustion like twice a week. And when I do my running plans for my runners, we have 2 quality sessions. Those are your hard days. One's usually going to be more intense, like tempo training. The other one's going to be your long run day. Everything else is like easy runs, like
Mhm.
super easy conversational pace. You're having a good time. And one of the indicators, and this happens to a lot of runners, of overtraining is monotonous runs, the same old pace, the same old distance without giving yourself a break. And then you might add an extra workout, like a gym workout in there. And that just leads to this compounding effect that can lead to overtraining. That's usually where I find yo-yo runners that will run for a little bit. They get so burnt out, they get overtrained, they get sore, they want to quit running because every run sucks because they're doing every run the same.
Yeah.
They're pushing hard every
Yeah.
run, same distance. They can't keep up with it. And that's usually where people burn out with running. And hence why you need the different running paces. And every
Yeah.
every run should have a purpose. So monotonous, if you're a monotonous runner, you have no plan. You're just kind of going the same, you got the same route picked out, the same pace every day, and you're doing that thing. It's only a matter. You're gonna overtrain. You're gonna burn
Yeah.
out. That's what happens. So um, yeah. So the single most important reason that runners are prone to overtraining is they do not have the ability to make an objective assessment of their own performance capabilities. We don't accept that we're mortal and that we have a performance range and that our mind pushes us outside of that range because we're not tracking those metrics. And we believe that the harder we train, the faster we'll run. There's a lot of evidence that will indicate that that's untrue, but we're ignorant to it, or we just can't rationalize that if I just let up, that uh, I'm going to improve.
Mhm.
And so, in an ultimate act of our, just our pride and ego, we'll continue to push hard. We can't interpret our own performance, and then we just continue to train harder. We have a poor outcome at a race or an event, and then we continue to push even harder and harder and harder. And then that leads to complete overtraining, and then you get frustrated. And
Yeah.
so that's the cycle that a lot of runners find themselves in.
Yeah, that's another reason why. So I do intervals. I run intervals. And when I first started running intervals, um I was like, there's no way I'm gonna get faster. Actually, I was like, I'm not even gonna continue running intervals because my pace slowed down because you're walking and running. But I stuck with it. I'm like, you know what? There's science behind it. I've read up on it. Let me just keep going. And then when I ran my half marathon using intervals, my pace increased from prior to just running all the way through. But that's because I allowed my body to have that break, to have that rest, and trained properly. And so it's amazing what rest can do for you.
Yes. Rest and recovery is
Yeah.
a critical part of training. It is training. So a lot of
Mhm.
people are like, "Oh, I got to take it. I can't take it easy." No, you need to take it easy today.
Yeah.
You need that break and recover. That's where you rebuild.
Mhm.
So incredibly important. And so I think that's that's the need for a training plan. And to be honest, a coach, like a good coach, can tell
Yeah.
you when you're overtraining and try to help you talk you off the ledge because they can spot it. Like when I review my weekly athletes running log, I can see their heart rate. I can see all their paces, and I give them feedback based off of that. Like, hey, I can notice when they have an increase in fitness because I had an athlete the other day. I'm like, hey, man, I think you're ready to bump it up a little bit. And he did, and he held up great, and is feeling good. And I've had another athlete who's like kind of on the struggle bus. We got to scale back, and
Mhm.
it's difficult when you're doing it yourself. Hence, having someone there in your corner to help you out with that is really helpful, and having a
Yeah.
training plan so you don't make the. It's just some minor tweaks, and a lot of people are like, man, I don't need to do that, but I'm telling you, those minor tweaks will make a huge difference in your performance. And so, um, yeah, that's the case for having someone to bounce those, having a coach, having a training plan to go off of, and really working on the mindset, studying this because the biggest. I feel like I spend more time telling my runners when I train them to slow down than I am speeding up. But by doing so, they speed up.
Yeah.
You would think by hiring a coach is going to yell at me to run faster and faster. It's actually run slower. You run slow so you can run fast. And
Right.
that kind of goes back to a few episodes ago. When you run slow, you're building mitochondria, you're building running efficiency. You're putting, there's reasons for the slow run and there's reasons for the fast run, and they have to be laid out just right,
Mhm.
and you'll gain maximum effectiveness.
Yeah.
Someone says they're on the struggle bus out there. You're not alone out there. There's a lot of people
No.
that are challenged with that. If we can help you out, let us know. Love to help you out. But yeah, that's where the yo-yo runners. And I used to be one. I would run hard. This is when I was young. I didn't know anything about recovery. When you're young, you can do this. You can get up every day and push hard. But as I find with every decade of my running career, if you will, there's some new nuances that I have to learn,
Mhm.
and I've learned the power of recovery days, of flexibility, of having a set. Every run, every one of your runs should have a specific purpose.
Mhm.
And if you're not doing that, then you're wrong.
Yeah, yeah, and, so something that comes to mind is, um, one practice during roller derby, one of the skaters was like, "Yeah, I just it's so hard when we do X, Y, and Z drill because, afterward my feet hurt so bad and blah, blah." I'm like, "Take it down a notch. Like,
Yeah,
your body. If you need to take it down a notch, take it. That's why we give modifications." And what came out of their mouth was, and it's rings so true because I've been there. "Well, I just can't take it down a notch. I just can't do that. If you tell us to do it, we have to do it. I just have to go full on."
yeah.
And in the back of my mind, I'm laughing because I'm like, I've been there. I've done that. But no, listen to your body. Listen to your body. And if you need to scale it back, scale it back. Like,
That is the next level of like discipline, because there's so much science written about this. Like it's all about being able to peak at the right time so you can amplify your performance.
yes.
If you're going out all the time, hard all the time, you're only going to achieve a certain level of success, and you're leaving so much potential on the table
Yep.
because of your stubbornness.
Yeah.
It's being stubborn.
Yes.
And so that's, I know it's counterintuitive, but the science and data doesn't lie. So
Correct.
that would be mindset. If you want to increase your performance with running, you've got to believe that there's got to be recovery days, that every run has a purpose, and to scale yourself back, and you got to do the flexibility work, and you got to do these other things, and you'll improve.
Well,
You'll have
yeah.
a
And,
significant improvement.
something that really shows growth, I think, as a runner as well is when you're out and you're running a race. something really big. At the beginning of the race, everybody's hyped up. They've counted down. You're taking off from the start line. If if you can control yourself, control your pace, and pace yourself that very first mile and not run anyone else's race, run your own race at your
Yeah.
pace, I think that shows humongous growth as a runner.
Yeah.
When you can be cognitive in that moment of excitement and just rah, because so many people take off and they're just going balls to the wall. They're trying to keep up with the crowd. They're trying to keep up with everybody. And then, they get a couple miles in, they're like, oh my God, I don't, why did I do that? I do that every time. But I really think you just pay attention, pay attention to your pace and go out with a purpose and maintain that and exercise that control. And you'll really see the benefits during at least this for me, the second half of the race. When I control myself the first half of the run or the first half of the race, then I can really kick it into higher gear that second half and outperform the people that passed me in the beginning.
Yeah. That from a performance perspective, it does not impress me to take off hard and then like blow up during the race, run a
Mhm.
positive split. I'm really impressed with a runner that can slowly, gradually take off and then get faster as the race progresses.
Mhm.
That's what we train for, and that takes a lot of uh, just mental grit and fortitude, and like you said, being able to hold yourself back. I
Mhm.
had a coach one time. We had a cross country team. We were like that. We would take off too quick, and we caught ourselves kind of blowing up and running some positive splits. So there's a couple races where he's like, you guys are all running together for the first like quarter mile at this pace. And then you guys can go. And like, so we had like the slow start and then we would pick off people as we went, but it was like, oh, it was like this ultimate punishment, but
Yeah.
it trained us to not take off so quickly and blow up. So, all right. So let's talk about how do we avoid overtraining? What are some strategies and methodologies? So like for you, like, how do you know when you're feeling overtrained? What do you do and how do you scale it back?
I listen to my body, number 1. I usually can tell if I'm have too much prolonged soreness and I'm not, feeling my muscles are just too sore too long when I'm going out on my training runs. I just have to look at my training log. I write my training out months at a time,
Mhm.
and then I'll go back and tweak it. If I'm having a week where I'm just tired, I don't feel well, I'm not enjoying the run, I look at that week and I tweak the mileage on that week, and then I tweak my plan moving forward. And I really try to stay cognizant of how much sleep I'm getting and just how I feel mentally, really.
Yeah, so having flexibility in your plan and being able to adjust it and scale it, because some people
Mhm,
are like, I got to stick to the plan. The plan is the plan, and there's no
mhm.
flexibility in it. Now you got to be able to adjust it accordingly.
Yeah,
And that's hard to do. It's hard to scale it back. It really
it is.
is.
Yeah,
But that's the discipline. That's the next level thinking of like, I know if I scale it back, I'm going to be able to bounce back from this, and I'll be stronger.
yeah.
So that's incredibly important. And to your point, you just got to listen to your body. You got to be really in tune with, look out for those signs that we talked about, the fatigue, the headaches, the difference in your libido, all of those things, your overall prevailing mood. If you're having some gastrointestinal issues, keeping a training log is really important. So you can, and there's some athletes that did this really well, like Mark Allen, who is a multiple Ironman winner, was notorious for his meticulous note taking. He would bounce off his workouts from the previous years, even like he had
Mhm,
years of the same workouts, and he could adjust and tell exactly where he was at from this chart here, the fatigue zones and
mhm,
when he would peak. Now, for most of us, we're not elite level athletes, but just keeping a simple log of your, distances and paces. And that's what I love about the app that I use when I train my athletes is like, we have that log. We have all the data. I got the heart rate data. We've got the miles and broken down by split. So all
yeah,
that stuff is there to go back and review. And a lot of times we'll do the Yasso 800s and I bring those about. It's like you can bounce back off your previous effort and like, are you fatigued? Are you actually improving your fitness? And so those training logs are incredibly important. And they don't have to be incredibly detailed, but some
yeah.
notes are good. Make sure that you look at recovery, like be at peace with your rest days and embrace them and look forward to them and not think that you're not. That would be my biggest people. Drop the guilt. Drop the guilt on your
Yes.
rest days.
Yes.
Realize that is that's a fundamental part of your training. Drop the guilt on your rest days. Acknowledge when you're overdoing it, making sure that you're eating enough calories and nutrients, getting enough of the right calories. I think you're doing yourself a disservice if you train hard, then you just like, whatever, I can eat whatever the hell I want. So you just eat burgers and fries and beers. And I do this sometimes. So I'm guilty of this, but I'm also acknowledging that I need to get some vitamins in me and I probably need to, but there was a time where I thought I could eat whatever the hell I wanted to. And what I was doing is putting in a bunch of junk in me and I'm depleting my body. I think that's worse for you than if you were to just not exercise maybe and eat the crap. Because you're especially when you're doing like endurance sports, because it's like I'm pushing myself so hard and then I'm just fueling with crap.
Yeah.
I think that can hurt you. Drink lots of water. We're chronically dehydrated. Those are some tips. Anything that we missed there?
No, I think we hit it on the head. We touched on all the major points, all the things that sometimes we tend to overlook and that are easy to overlook.
Yeah.
Because we've all done it. We've all been there.
And I saw something the other day. Someone said this, like, don't just work out, train. Like, don't just work out. And then what that makes me think about is having a plan, being deliberate about, what you're doing. Every workout should have a specific purpose. If you're doing the workout and you don't know why you're doing it, that's an indicator that maybe we're not training properly. And what would it take to get a proper plan? And you can download a free cookie cutter plan. You can go hire a coach. You can get a physical train. There's a lot of different modalities based on what you're looking for, but whatever that is for you, have a plan and, seek some feedback and educate yourself, because you can actually train smarter, not harder. Yes. And you'll improve your performance. You'll feel better in general, and you'll get that next breakthrough.
Yeah.
So that's my final thoughts on that. I didn't realize it was already 6:32. Are you doing okay on time? You got,
I gotta go.
Okay. All right. You got to go, or you want me to, you want to bounce?
No, let's announce the weekly winner. Okay. Yes.
All right, let's do this. All right. This weekend, there was an epic battle in Queenie Park. There's this backyard ultras, which is basically what they do is they have these around the country, but it was like, for this particular one, it was 4.1 miles in Queenie Park, just outside St. Louis. Had some friends that were out there running this weekend, and I was cheering them on. I watched this battle unfold. I don't know these gentlemen, but it was so incredibly awesome to see them just getting after it. So basically every hour on the hour, you run 4.1 miles. If you get back to your tent, basically they start the horn every hour on the hour until it's the last person standing. I think they had about 100 people start, and really they go until there's one person standing. And Dave, I hope I'm saying your name right, Kwiatkowski, ran 251 miles in 59 hours and 50 minutes. And Cody Eubanks was his assist, ran 247 miles in 58. So these guys were battling it out. Cody, for whatever reason, he didn't make it to that last one, and then Dave finished, and that's how they run these backyard ultras. There's only one person standing. Awesome Queenie Ultra. Look at the placard there. It's pretty badass. So both of these guys, we're going to send them both a shirt, because it was pretty. 251 miles with having those stops. They started on Friday morning, so they ran all through the weekend nonstop. And I can't imagine how incredibly difficult that is. You want to talk about mindset and grit and determination, incredible effort. So we want to acknowledge both Dave and Cody for doing hard things, and appreciate you guys. Appreciate that effort. Pretty inspirational. So it inspires me to want to go do one. So,
oh yeah, that's on my bucket list, like 100,000,000%.
Absolutely. So appreciate y'all. And thank you for showing us what doing hard things is all about. So that's it. That's all I got. You guys have a fantastic Monday.
Yes.
Angie,
go forth and make somebody smile today. It's Monday. Make somebody smile, man. Let's do it. I'm making myself smile. And I'm like, I'm not even halfway here, but I'm here and I'm smiling. And I'm going to make somebody smile, whether it's uncomfortable or not. I'm going to,
Whether they like it or not, they're going to smile.
That's my goal today, to give somebody a really uncomfortable smile. Or they just kind of look at you like, oh.
I like the uncomfortable ones. That's always the more fun ones.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. That's what I'm doing today.
awesome.
Yes. All right.
All right. Well, yeah, have a fantastic day. I was going to shut this thing down, but I lost the thing here. Oh, there we are. All right. All right, y'all. Have a great Monday. We'll see you guys. Do hard things.
See ya.